Good morning, besties. Welcome back to the Cozy Corner. It's your girl Jen, and if you're new here, welcome. I'm just a regular old college student at Cal State Dominguez, but if you're not new here, welcome back to the chaos. Happy 2026. I want to get this out of the way. Your girl is turning 23 this month, and I'm not really sure how to think about it. So it's crazy because I don't feel 23. I know that I'll be graduating officially this year, like literally this December. I can officially say that, and I don't know why. I think it's just because like we're so into the new year. We're so new into the year that I'm like it still feels like 2025. And so I keep saying like referring to things that happened this year, but I keep referring to them as like, "Oh, next year I'm doing this, next year I'm doing that." No, girl, it's this year. This year I am graduating in December. That is insane to think about. I literally have 2 semesters left of school, the spring semester, literally one class in the summer. And then, guys, guess what? In August, I'm officially getting my own place. That's so insane to think about. I don't know if you know, I probably have mentioned it a few times before. I do live on campus. This setup right here is the dorms. I live in the apartments, and so this is the current rooming assignment that I have right now. I don't currently have a roommate. Knocking on wood that it stays that way for the rest of the year, but I'm not really going to be getting a whole lot of financial aid in the fall, and so I'm going to be staying for the summer. Still planning to do that, but starting August, my last semester of school, I'll be getting my own place because again, I'm not going to be getting a whole lot of financial aid in the fall, and it's going to be much cheaper to just move out and rent a room, and that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. But that's just I'm sorry, that's crazy to think about. That's like for me, that's like an adult purchase. Like I already have my adult purchase on my card that I'm currently paying off. I already know how that thing goes. Like I've been doing it since I was 18. Like it's the thing, right? But like for this to be a new adult purchase, like me having my own place that I can officially say like this is my own place. I paid to live here and this whole space is mine. Crazy to think about, but I just wanted to like mention that real quick cuz it's very surreal for me. I don't know why it's not clicking yet. It's not hitting in yet. It's not kicking in yet. And I don't know. I'm excited. I know it's like a few solid, like 8 months away, but still very excited for it. That being said, welcome to today's video. We're already all over the place and we're not even like 2 minutes in or 3 minutes in. So I just wanted to say a couple of things. First of all, I hope you had a wonderful new year. I know a lot of people were celebrating. I hope you guys had at least a cozy, relaxed, like not too chaotic or chaotic enough, whatever you prefer. New Year. I hope your Christmas was good, Thanksgiving, and honestly, just like wishing everybody good wishes because every year something happens and you just need to learn how to live with it because a lot of times there's not much you can do besides roll with the punches. And so with that all being said, again, welcome to today's video. If you don't know what today's video is about, let me tell you. So in December of last year, of last month, I read, drumroll please, 15 books. Yeah. So a little bit of a repeat kind of October of last year. I read 16 books. And last month I read 15. It was like cutting down to the line of that last book. That last book was a doozy. Oh, and let me just like put it out real quick. I forgot to put this in the pile of the books that I'll be talking about today. But we're gonna talk about this last because it's we got to get into it. Okay, so a lot of these, I would say three, four, five out of the 15 books here that I have are special editions, and I'll talk about them as I get to them. But I want to talk about the two. The let me just get into it. So the first series that I read in the month of December was Beartown. Yeah, I want to get this out of the way first because this is such an emotional read. This is my first Frederick Bachman, and I personally picked this up at Book Off on the recommendation of one of Jamie's videos. If you don't know, Jamie Falk is a Canadian YouTuber. She does, or booktuber rather, she reads lots of books, and me and her have similar tastes. And so I'm like, if her and Freya, another booktuber, loved this series, I'm probably gonna love this series. And so I picked it up because again, it was like $5 at Book Off. And so I was like, why the fuck not? Picked it up. I read the whole series actually on like on audiobook. I just had like the book with me while I was doing a puzzle. It's like a little like keep making sure like I can keep my pace. I don't know about you guys. When I read audiobooks, I like to have a bookmark in each chapter that I'm in. So like if I'm on chapter 16, I just happen to open to this page. I'll like keep it in here until I get to chapter 17, and then I'll like, keep moving the bookmark as we go on. If that makes sense. I don't know. It just makes me feel like I'm accomplishing something. Like it kind of makes me feel like I know where I'm at, I know where I'm keeping track, etc., etc. With that all being said, let me tell you what this freaking series is about. This is a hockey town telenovela. And I'll tell you why. So if you have watched General Hospital, Grey's Anatomy, what other like telenovela soap operas are there? Like it just really gave me that. It's very character driven. You kind of follow the story through different characters' points of views, and the story continues from there. It's like Jill went to the market and bought some eggs, and then she came home to her mom, and then her mom like went to work and she did all this stuff, and then her dad came home and did this and this, and like the story progresses like in time, chronological order, but you get the perspective from different characters, and so you get like their own feelings and their own emotions. There are so many characters that are introduced in this book, and a few of them don't make it. So I think when I was doing my December TBR, I was like, I'm calling it right now. I think that somebody is gonna get really injured on the hockey team, and that's something. Blah, blah, blah. No, I was absolutely fucking wrong. I'm not gonna say anything too much because it's yeah, I'm tripping over my words already because I'm like, I want to tell you guys what this book is about, but there's so much that happens that any specific thing that I say could be a huge spoiler. So I want to see if there's anything in the plot synopsis that I can really say. Yes, okay, perfect. So, in the beginning of the book, we kind of follow this girl who goes to a party, and I'm very much glossing over a lot of stuff, but this specific scene tied me in. Search up the trigger warnings. There aren't any super graphic details, there kind of are, but it kind of follows a bigger perspective of what the fallout for this situation could be for a specific person in a specific town. So, we're following a girl. Forget her name, I'll have it up here somewhere. But she essentially goes with her best friend, again, I'll have her name up here, to a hockey party after they had won a game. Specific person named Kevin saw this girl. Mind you, I'm pretty sure that she had a crush on this guy. And so she like, when he was like making those eyes at her at this party, she was like, let me just like, go upstairs and hang out with him. So her and him go upstairs, they hang out. And so they're getting into it, they start making out, they start doing some stuff, and she's like, whoa, 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 this is going way too fast for me. And she tells him repeatedly to stop, and like she's kicking, she's screaming, she's fighting, but she's also very drunk, and she's trying to get him to stop, and he's like, no, you're just gonna take it, blah 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 blah. So an essay scene does happen. Another character ends up like getting into the ends up like figuring out what's going on upstairs. He races up the stairs. Again, I'll have his name up here. And he like stop. He breaks the things off. Like everything's already kind of almost finished, but like unfortunately, but he does like break it up and like, hey, this is not okay. He like gets her out of this situation, and so the fallout of that then is that, hey, we need to file a police report. The father, who is like I think the yeah, he's like the team coach of this hockey team. He's very much involved. He's like, this was not okay. I can't believe this happened. We need to get like the police. We need to do an investigation and blah blah blah. This town that they live in is a very very small town up in the mountains, very much secluded from the rest of society and civilization. And so they're very tight knit, very like hush hush about the drama. And so they don't take the word of the girl who was SA'd. Instead, they basically turn against her. And meanwhile, she's just trying to get fucking justice for herself. At first, she didn't want to say anything to her family. She's like, I already know how this is going to go, blah, blah, blah. But then something happens and she ends up coming out and being like, listen, I just want to get justice for myself because this was not okay. And I don't want this to happen to any other girls. Speaking of this specifically, I've been watching, what's her name? Stephanie Sue's Rotten Manga channel. She's done a couple of hockey related or sports related SA cases, and it's just really fucking astounding to me how many girls aren't heard, how many girls' stories aren't taken seriously, and how much of it's just brushed under the rug and a couple $100,000 is just tossed to the girl. And it's really disgusting. The series goes from there. The situation gets taken care of, resolved in a good way, and the situation goes from there. I don't want to say too much else because it's so much. There's literally so much in this freaking series. I'm just like, there's just like, I can't say much more than that without like there being like specific spoilers being like, just tossed out. We do follow a lot of different friendships that end up being formed from different situations. And so at the end, we do have like a tight knit, wholesome friend group that has just been through so much. And they've like gone through a whole bunch of stuff together, and they come out stronger from that. And there's a character who Oh, I just don't want to fucking say. Like, if you know, you know. At the end, there's a specific character who passes away, and it's really sad because this character's been through so much. Yeah, I don't even want to say much more because it is a huge fucking spoiler. But if you've read this series, you know who I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And girl, I was with you. I was crying in the club. I'm like putting my puzzle pieces together and I couldn't even fucking see the puzzle pieces because of how much I was crying. Oh, I needed a break. I needed a break after that. And so what I did next was, oh, by the way, 5 stars. This entire fucking series, every single book was 5 stars. Hey, absolute fucking lily. The next book I read was Torch. No, I'm sorry. This is the second book actually, but let me pull it up for you. An Ember in the Ashes quartet. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Everyone was reading this book. I luckily was able to get the first 2 books at Book Off randomly, like earlier in the year, just on a random shopping spree. I saw the characters on the books and I was like, this looks awesome as fuck. I need to buy them. Unfortunately, and fortunately, the author got traditionally published, which means, unfortunately, the art style of the covers got totally changed. And so now I'm gonna need to just continue going to Book Off and secondhand bookstores to find the other 2 books in this series because otherwise, you already know it's gonna be different. And I can't have the first 2 books of the original covers and the last 2 books of the new covers without like it's a whole thing. If you're a book girly, like you understand, like the size might be different, the style is gonna be different, the colors are gonna be different. Like it's just not the tea. So with that all being said, let's get into it, right? So, an Ember in the Ashes quartet follows 4 books. We have the Ember in the Ashes, Torch Against the Night, Reaper at the Gates, and A Sky Beyond the Storm. There's also a second series that I'm going to get into after this that follows like the next generation of characters. But first, we're following Laya and Elias and some other characters too. But like, you know, in the first book, we're following mostly Laya and Elias. Laya is essentially a second class citizen. And that's putting it lightly. Like, she's like basically from the underground. If you've like watched Arcane, like she's just like her village is treated really poorly, and so she's just trying to get by and like find food for her family. One day she comes back and soldiers are at her door for some reason and they end up killing off her parents. I believe she has a brother, and the brother has been taken prisoner for suspicion of treason. And so Laya is basically taken, and I believe she escapes, and then she ends up like getting tangled up in this rebel group who then have her infiltrate the war college type of situation. She's supposed to, let me see if it says specifically here. I forget what specifically it's called. I'll put it up here of like what her underground like title is in this like mission or something. But she essentially, oh, she's a scholar. There we go. She's a scholar working for this like commander who's the mother of this soldier that we'll talk about in a second. But she's trying to get information for the rebel soldiers. This other soldier named Elias is the commandant's son, and he's got his own thing. He's in this war college. He's learning how to be the soldier that he's always supposed to be. They have like these masks that are like supposed to fuse to them and like symbolize their status of being a soldier or something like that. He's about to graduate. He's about to be done and over with and like, you know, go off and do soldier stuff in the army or whatever. And so when one day he's visiting dear old mom, commandant of the army, whatever the fuck, and he sees this girl and he knows that his mom treats her scholars really poorly. And so he tries to like not meddle, but like he tries to ease things out. And he's like, "Hey, mom, I don't think it's that crazy. Like, you know how they can be. Like, let her be. Like, you can like punish her later." And so a relationship is kind of formed when the scholar ends up having to, ends up like sneaking out with another person to like go to this event party, whatever the fuck. She's not supposed to be there, but she just goes for the vibes. Elias also happens to be there, and so they have a nice little dance, and it's whatever. But then like other stuff happens, and so she ends up getting home. But like this is all in the first book. So much happens. And then in the second book, Torch Against the Night, the magic system in this like world series, whatever the heck, like it's very much like broadened upon. They kind of follow magic of the Jinn. If you don't know, Jinn is like this like they're like kind of like the witches, elementalists of the Middle East. And they have like a whole bunch of like mystical powers. And so Elias, Laya, and like some other characters, like they start experiencing these events. And then some of the characters that are mentioned in both of these books, how do I say this? Because Elias has a best friend, and then Laya has her brother, and then she has that like other like we meet new characters in the book, right? That just like makes sense. And so I think in all of these books we follow different points of views, but in the first I think it's just dual POV, and then I think the second, third, and fourth book is like multiple different characters. But the Shrike, in my humblest opinion, badass bitch, but also she's been through a lot, and she's like one of those characters that she's she has a hard time letting go of what she's been taught, because once you were raised on a specific way of life, like it's very difficult to like let go of that and be like, well, I kind of guess like it's wrong, and we need to like find a new way of living. And so she's like having a hard time. Sometimes like the characters are like on opposite sides of this war, and they like need to figure shit out, and it just goes from there. All I can say is watch out for the love interests. You really can't get too close to anybody. There are some happily ever afters. The story is relatively fine. Like everybody's relatively fine at the end, if not very much traumatized by the events that happen in the series. But I can say overall, I give this series a 4.5 stars. Like overall, like there were some points that I was like, I don't know. It kind of dragged, and it kind of waned, and it kind of went too quickly in some parts. But also, this originally was the author's debut novel, I want to say, and so when she got traditionally published, I'm not sure if they like had her change anything, because a lot of times when you go from like indie author to trad pub, like you tend to have to change like some of the parts in the story to make it more like, yes, like to grab the readers more, if that makes sense. But yeah, overall there was some like issues with the series, but I gave this 4.5 stars like overall. Let's get into my fillers, because there were 3 filler books this month. And I don't know if you know, but like I think it's healthy to put like filler books in between those heavy fantasy reads, or heavily emotional reads, because you just need something to like let you laugh. And so I picked up Mate. I finally read it. I know that I missed it last month, guys, and I'm not really sorry, because reading is just everybody's gonna read whatever the fuck they're gonna read. And so I have Mate for you guys by Ali Hazelwood. This came out officially last year. This is technically, oh, okay, so yes, this is the sequel to Bride. They follow an entirely different set of characters, but it's interconnected. So we're following, what is her name again? Serena. Her best friend, bestie, is Misery. And if you read Bride, you know exactly who Misery is. Misery is the vampire that is the FMC in Bride. And so Serena is this half werewolf, half human hybrid. And I love how Ali Hazelwood, just being the major STEM author that she is, drops so much like an anatomically correct lore into this, and it's so fucking awesome. We're following Misery. I'm sorry, we're following Serena, who has like 2 days to live. Not literally, but like kind of. She's got this autoimmune disorder that's kicking her ass, and so she's just trying to fucking live. Meanwhile, she's like been told that she has a mate, and so because she's half human, half werewolf, she can't some of these senses and some of these like specific things that are typical in a werewolf or wolf behavior, I guess, like specifically mating parts, are not like she grew up in the human world, she grew up in the vampire world, so she doesn't really know like what specific things mean, if that makes sense. And so when one day this guy who's like 12 years older than her, yes, this is an age gap romance. This is an age gap romance, but still, I kind of think they did it pretty well. Sometimes they like will focus on like, oh my gosh, like I'm so older than you, and like you're such a baby. No, that's not what happens for the most part in this book. Like it's hinted upon and joked upon in a couple of situations, but it's like it's funny in my personal opinion. And so yeah, so she's basically dying, and so she's told one day by this wolf that like I'm like the alpha, and like also we're like mates and stuff. And she's like, cool, I don't care. Like you can actually go the fuck off. Like I'm like gonna reject the bond. And he's like, oh, whatever, that's fine. And so he ends up having to take her to be part of his like basically be like his what do you call it? Like he has to take a responsibility for her for a specific situation, but I want to focus more on the autoimmune situation because that's kind of like the biggest factor within this book. Because I feel like the rest of it kind of makes spoilers, but basically this autoimmune disorder is sucking the life out of her. She doesn't have a menstrual cycle anymore. She's like basically she's not eating. She's very thin. She's going through it and like none of the doctors are able to save her. Like they've tried so many treatment plans, like nothing's working. And so eventually a woman werewolf is able to crack the fucking code and tell her like, girl, you're fine. Well, you're gonna be fine like eventually, but like this is a situation that happens to everybody. It's basically werewolf puberty. And I'm not going to say much more than that. But I will say her autoimmune disorder gets saved by another man. And if you know, you know. So I will say, like, a good solid chunk of this book is focused on the immune disorder and how eventually when it gets like solved, how like it's focused more on like the happenings to get that solved. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like the mating, the she basically goes into heat. That's essentially what the whole autoimmune disorder is about. Like she was fine, she just needed to have some sex. And like honestly, yeah, I get it. I feel like when you're ovulating or when women have those their ovulation phases, we're just like literally we're just fucking animals. And so yeah, there's a whole bunch of other stuff that goes on in this book. If you read the first book, Bride, like you kind of learn more about the cult situation that happens, and then it's broadened upon in the Mate book, and then it's solved, and it's a whole thing. But this one, I don't know. I think it's just because there was some very specific anatomical scenes. I know Jamie's not really a big stickler. She's a little bit of a stickler for spicy scenes. It's not her thing. For me, I can enjoy a good spicy time, and I very much did enjoy a good fucking spicy time. So, if you like Wattpad spicy, anatomically correct werewolf, vampire, paranormal romances, yeah, give this a read. Yeah, I give this a 4.75 star. Like it's very much like it's garbage, but like I have to keep eating because it's fucking Ellie Hazelwood, and she does it better than no other. Next up, this is my first Penny Douglas book. Lauren, if you're watching this video, hey girl, I read it. Yeah, I read this. So we have Credence. If you don't know, Lauren beautifully described this. I guess like another person had told her about this, and so now this is like the only way that I can describe this. This is about a family that comes together and then comes together, if that makes sense. And so we're following a girl named Tiernan. It's a bit of a tongue twister word, in my personal opinion. She recently lost both of her parents in a double suicide. Because that's selfish. Literally, like a few months before her 18th birthday, they kind of off themselves, and so she's going through the fucking 10 stages of grief. She's also a very very rich nepo baby, and so she's just like not even like thinking about like the repercussions like financially. She's just like, damn, life fucking sucks, and grief and everything. And so she receives a call one day from some random guy, and she's like, hello, and he's like, I'm your uncle. And she's like, I guess, question mark, what can I help you with? And he's like, well, I guess I was named in the will, and so you are to come live with me as my ward or some shit until you turn 18, and then you can like go off and do whatever the fuck you want. She's like, I guess. He's like, you don't have to come with me, like you don't have to come live with me, blah blah blah. Like if you don't want to, like I'm just like letting you know, so you have the option if you want to leave. And she's like, oh okay, like whatever, like sure, I'll go. And so I will say I did not like the fact that these, I do see her step uncle. I just want to preface that all of these step uncles, step cousins, all those things, they're not blood related. So it's like it's taboo, but it's not illegal. It's not bad. Like it's towing the line very, very carefully. But essentially, what I didn't like about this book is that every single male character in the house, three guys, not only are they assholes, but they're fucking man whores. Like there's so much like literally Tiernan is trying to go to sleep and have like nice sweet dreams, and all of a sudden she's just hearing the next door and like the other door and like the across the hall, like just all these like moans and shit. And I'm like, I would go bat shit. I would be irritated as fuck. I'd be like, listen, take all fucking shit elsewhere. Quiet down. It's the middle of the night. I'm over this. But she's kind of into it. I'm not gonna lie. Eventually, she does have a relationship with the one person after this. I kind of called it. It's like the underdog. It's like the person that you would typically think if you read enough romances and books, you kind of get like the hint of like, okay, this is the guy that she's going to end up with. But I will say, she sleeps with every single person in there. And like for a hot minute, I was like very much cringing, and I was like, oh, this is gross. There are some moments where mind you, I think her uncle is 36. She's about to be 18. She does technically have intercourse after she's 18, but I will say it was kind of cringy. I will say. So beware of that factor, but afterwards it does get pretty good. The last person that she does officially end up with, like there are some moments that I'm like, it's just cringy, it's just gross, it's just whatever, but like it's good. It's also good. Like, is it garbage? Did I know that going into it? Yeah, but did I eat it the fuck up? Yeah, yeah. This is not the best book that I ever read, but it did earn itself a 4.25 stars. So will I be reading it again? Oh yeah, definitely. Will I have some helpers nearby? Oh fuck yeah, absolutely. This is just a filler book, fluff. Like definitely go in knowing that this is just something that you read for the vibes, literally just for the vibes. And so that was Credence by Penelope Douglas. I will say, between Mate and this next book, very much preferred them over the Credence book. We next have Leave Me Behind. What is the name? By K.M. Moronova. I will 100% be reading more from this author in the future. Holy fuck, dude. Okay, so originally I had seen this book on somebody's like YouTube vlog or booktuber blog or whatever the fuck, and I was just like, this looks awesome. This is very reminiscent of an anime art style, and I need to pick it up immediately. And so when I saw it at Target, how much is it originally? 18 bucks. I think I paid like $11 for this. I was like, fuck yeah. And it's got sprayed edges. Fuck yeah. And it was a buy two get one free. So if this was the one that I got for free, I didn't pay a single fucking cent for it. This is Leave Me Behind. Let me fix my sock real quick while I tell you what it's about. But we're essentially following a girl named Nell. She's in the special forces. Kind of. She's essentially in the Suicide Squad, but like for a different set of things. And so she's getting transferred to a new squad after her original squad got wiped out. And so she's traveling to go to this specific place, and she has like one night left of freedom before she has to go and do her duties as a squad person, whatever the fuck in the special forces. She ends up meeting these two guys on a plane, and they're like, okay, like they hit it off with conversation, and the guys are like, you know what, we're gonna go to a club tonight and like hit it off, whatever the fuck, like or like have one last night of partying before we have to go to do our jobs. Like, are you down to go? And she's like, fuck yeah. She ends up having the most steamy sex she's ever had with this guy who couldn't be bothered to get to know her. She was like, basically, when she brought him back to her place, she was like, hey, like, what do you like to do? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I'm not here to talk. I'm here to fuck you, and I'm here to leave. And she's like, oh, all right, then let's get it on. Let's get this shit over with. And so they ended up having really good sex. But afterwards, she's like, all right, I'm going to go shower. Like, you can see yourself out, have a good life, or whatever the fuck. And he's like, oh. And he took that type of way. And so usually he's the one dipping out. But for him to be dismissed like that, he was like, oh, no, yeah, no one kicks me out of the house. Like, what the fuck? That's crazy. So he ends up like going to see her, blah, blah, blah. And like they end up continuing this connection. They end up going for sandwiches afterwards or something like that. And mind you, it's the middle of the fucking night. Who is open for sandwiches? But no, I think it was a diner actually. He got a breakfast burrito. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. He ends up like kind of figuring her out. He's like, you are special. She's like, yeah, I'm special a lot. I'm special forces. Let's go. And so she's like she's supposed to keep her real identity a secret. And so he ends up finding out. He's like, you wouldn't happen to be this person, would you? And she's like, and what the fuck if I am? You wouldn't happen to be this person, would you? And he's like, yeah, I am. She's like, fuck. I'm so fucked. I just fucked my squad member. And mind you, I just also fucked my partner. So now it's awkward as fuck. She's supposed to be this new partner. She's supposed to be this guy's new partner after his previous partner died horribly in a battle. And so the entire book, him personally, but everybody else too in their squad, are trying to get rid of her, and she basically has to prove herself. Story goes from there. I don't want to say too much because this is a case of like everything is intertwined. Everybody's fucking each other over, and a lot of people don't know what the fuck's going on, and they're just following orders. But when they find out, oh fuck, dude, like betrayal on betrayal on betrayal, and it's just it's a lot. It's a lot, but it's good. Oh yeah, it's so good. moving on. I want to talk about Heir before I move the fuck on. This is another case of I listened to the audiobook too fast and may not have rated it as high as I could have. That being said, I think I still give this a 4-star. This is Heir by Sabaa Tahir, basically following the next generation of characters. I don't want to say too much else on that because it's a lot of spoilers that you can find in the first series. I will say, because this is a spin-off series, you kind of need to read the first series to understand. It is only 4 books, so it's kind of okay. It's not too long, you can get into it, but there's like a lot of lore and magic and information that you need to know going in, otherwise you are gonna kind of be blind. That's all I'm gonna say. I will read you guys the plot synopsis because I did kind of this is too fucking long. Okay, hold on one sec. I'm just gonna read you instead the hook. So we are following an orphan, an outcast, and a prince, and a killer who will bring an empire to its knees. Essentially, this girl is sent off on a mission to kill this murderer that's going around. She ends up getting entangled with these other brats, and the story goes from there. That's all I'm gonna say. Moving the fuck on. Sorry, this wasn't my favorite book this month, but I can say it wasn't the most horrible book that I've ever read. Now let's get into the One Dark Window duology. If you can tell, I tabbed the hell out of this book. So much so that I ran out of tabs. My highlighter also died out. We're following an amazing fucking story. Mind you, these are special editions. All 3 of these books actually are special editions. So originally, I think I've said this before in a couple of other videos, but the Two Twisted Crowns book, the this book here, originally was part of the deluxe edition at Barnes & Noble. I, being the poor college student, did not buy this until much later when I had the funds. When I finally had the funds, they didn't have any of these fucking books in stock anymore. And so I had to look all fucking over, and I could not find clearly because I got the other 2 books, but I could not find the first book in the Shepard King duology, and it really made me mad. I was like, fuck, like I don't want to buy the paperback cover of this book because one is going to be so small. I want my books to match, etc., etc. So when I learned happily that these 2 books were going to be coming out in the new year, I was like, fuck yeah, I'm going to go buy them. So this is the special, my goodness, sorry. This is the special edition of One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns. As you can see, they're pretty as fuck. Is this a bookmark in here somewhere? No, it's not. Okay, whatever. We're in this in this series, we are following a girl who has a. You know what? Let me start that over. So in this series, we have a magic system used via tarot cards. Very interesting. When I first went into this series, when I was reading it, I was like, this is really interesting. It automatically made me think of Lucy Hartfilia from Fairy Tale, who uses zodiac cards. Zodiac keys to summon spirits to help her fight in battle. That's not how this magic is used, but it's still pretty interesting and very innovative and different than anything else I've read. And so I was like, you know what, let's keep going. And so essentially there are 12 sets of card types in this series or in this world, but each card type has a specific amount of cards used, if that makes sense. Like if you know the 12 days of Christmas, like on the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me something, but like each day is like day 5 is like 5 golden rings, or like 3 turtle doves, 2 whatever the fuck, like continue until it goes down to 1. So essentially the only reason I bring that up as an analogy is because there are 5 cards of a specific type, and then there's 12 cards of a specific type, and like the most rare is this one card called the Alder Tree card. There's only one in existence and nobody knows where it's at. So essentially these cards give you a specific ability in exchange for like a consequence, essentially. So we have the Maiden card, very stereotypically makes you pretty, conventionally attractive, but in exchange it makes you very cold-hearted. Just gonna throw that out there. So we're following a girl, what's her name again, Elspeth, I want to say, yeah, and she has a little nightmare in her head. she's a little schizophrenic, I'm not gonna lie, but also the Nightmare is the sassiest character I've ever met. If you want a travel companion, not like a furry little friend or like a talking corpse flower, but like an actual fucking voice in your head that is its own entity, very sentient being. Oh guys, yeah, you're gonna love this. It's hilarious. He's like anything that inconveniences him, he's like, off with their fucking head, bro. I'm so over this conversation. Essentially, Elspeth has the ability to consume cards, and in this world, um, if you aren't using or in this world, there's essentially a way for you to catch the plague, and then afterwards, if you should survive it, you get these specific magic powers that inevitably like has its own consequence, and it like makes you, it kind of like drains your life force until you eventually die. So this girl's consequence of having the plague basically is having the ability to absorb cards, and so she accidentally absorbed a card one time, and she now has the nightmare card stuck in her head. And in this world, when you have the plague, you are supposed to be killed off because the magic is considered like unruly, unhealthy, like bad. It's a bad way to use magic. And so she's on the run. She's trying to keep the shit a secret. But her family is also very wealthy, and they are like very close to the royal family, and so they have to kind of like work together to keep shit under wraps until some other stuff happens. Little does anybody know, there are rebel forces in this world that are trying to collect the cards to basically get rid of the mist, which is this kind of like where the plague came from, essentially. Like people who go into the mist go mad and like a whole bunch of other stuff. But in order to get rid of this mist, they have to like collect all of the cards to eradicate it and then like make things okay again, essentially. And so it's a whole thing. Follows two books, Duology, and I will say, I don't know which book I liked better. I did give both books, I think, like a 4.75 to a 5 star. Not as good as the Phantasma Duology, but still a really good series. And so last, I want to spend some time talking about this guy. So she came out a couple months ago, and she deserves her own pedestal. I did not really want to read this book until I had the special edition in my grubby little hands. This is Alchemized. And so if you don't know, you are living under a fucking rock. I'm just kidding. But essentially, SenLinYu wrote the book Manacled as a fan fiction of Draco and Hermione. Recently, she got picked up as from a traditional publisher, and so to continue to be traditionally published, she had to change a lot of shit. She had to change, basically, not make it not a fanfic anymore. There are some very like specific scenes in here that are reminiscent of the Harry Potter world, but not enough for it to be a direct copy and have copyright reasons in situations and whatever the fuck. I know some people were like having issues with, oh, well, I wish there was like more world building, but also, girl, this is fucking 10,000 or like 1,000 pages. So, like, how much world building do you need? But I feel like people who are beloved Harry Potter fans know the world of Harry Potter in the back of their head already. And they know this is a fanfic turned traditional publish. So, it's like they have the world in the back of their head already. So, they know the world building already, if that makes sense. And so I feel like it's like an easier thing to digest, but I do kind of understand that there is like a little bit of a lack of world building, so you're kind of confused at specific parts. But you wouldn't be confused at those parts if you read the Harry Potter books and if you knew the Harry Potter world. That's all I'm gonna say. We're following Helena, and I'm gonna use the actual. Hi, Tilly. My cat just woke up from her nap. She's like, where the fuck am I? I can tell it's one of those naps where she's like, dang, what planet am I on? What day is it? What time is it? It's crazy. Anyway, we're following Helena, Hermione. We're gonna call her Helena, and she was essentially part of the rebel group, rebel forces. Harry Potter has died. Well, Harry Potter has died. Luke has died. That's the guy's name. And the bad guys won. So Voldemort, they call him Moro or something like this in this book. And Draco Malfoy, who was called Cain in this book, is the love interest. And so essentially, like I said, Harry Potter died, the bad guys won, and now the rebel forces are being slowly but surely like killed off. And apparently Helena knows things because she's part of the rebel group. But the thing is, though, she has amnesia. So the entire book, we are finding things out through her perspective. Like when she knows things, we will find things out. And I will say, this is one of the best amnesia tropes that I have ever fucking read. Like this is better than the Enchantra amnesia trope that we had for like 2 seconds. Like this is just the entire book, excuse me, the entire 36 hours of audio that I fucking listened to over like a 2 or 3 day period. Yeah, we are learning shit and finding shit out as the FMC understands things. And so she's essentially been kidnapped by the rebel fort, or I'm sorry, by the bad guys. And so now she's living in this person's house while this person who has vivimancy, they use alchemical magic in this universe. And the person who has vivimancy can also like they can just like do stuff like healing and other things, and it's like really hard to explain, and I'm like a little bit stupid, so if it makes sense, it makes sense. But he's going to use his vivimancy magic to rewire her brain and help her remember stuff. Necromancy is also a thing. Pyro magic is also a thing. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff like magic types in this world. She's also a vivimancer, and necromancy and vivimancy are very like they're very intertwined. Um, so sometimes vivimancy can kind of cross over into necromancy and vice versa. It's because they kind of follow the same principles and the same rules. I will say, read your trigger warnings. All I really want to say is that you kind of find out why she's very important as the story goes on. They do have an HEA, but read your trigger warnings going in because these two characters go through it and everybody has to do their job, and it's like there's there's a lot of stuff. Like there is a scene in here that's very vividly disturbing. She does get raped. She does get SA'd. And it is by Kane. She does forgive him later. It is found out that they knew each other in the past, and so there is like a whole bunch of stuff. But I will say, like, go in with your best mental mindset and just know that things are gonna be okay at the end. And like be prepared to cry your fucking eyes out because this book is a lot. It took me through the fucking ringer. And I say it deserves all of the praise. I have not read a book like this, like literally ever. And so I will say, if SenLinYu ever does no, I'm sorry, if she does come out with any more books in the future, 1 billion% I will be picking this up. But also, like, it's so fucking pretty. This special edition, I was waiting for this. This is just, so fucking beautiful. But that all being said, these are the 15 books that I read in December. Some of these books I didn't have on hand, and so it is what it is. But I will say, I had a solid reading month. I'm really, really excited for this year. My reads this year are going to be stacked. They're already stacked. They're already set up for the year, and we will talk about that next time. But if you like this video, go ahead and like the video, like and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss when I upload a brand new video. Comment down below, what was the best book that you read last year? And what books are you looking forward to reading this year? With that all being said, I'm gonna head out and go get some food because I am a bit hungry and it is lunchtime. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye, guys.